SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
I will share in a minute.
You're live.
When we're live. We're live.
Like
But I
right
found
now?
out we're live. Oh, I'm swinging my head. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to us. And we thank you for joining us here at the I Speak Jeep podcast. This is episode number 15. We just like last week, we'd planned it. We planned it,
Yes.
15 episodes. I am Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, SFJ4x4.com, and my esteemed colleague.
Mad scientist
You
Scott
had to
Brown.
think about it.
I had to
You
think about
what
it.
the
You
heck?
forgot his name.
You
I forgot.
You
Anyway, today I was janitor, cleaned up some,
Still my
and
favorite.
assembled a Jeep.
and assembled a Jeep. You cleaned and assembled a Jeep already today. Look at you. You're batting 1,000. I got to tell you, the obviously I have had reasonably the same intro for I don't know about 10 episodes at this point,
Got to change it up.
and no, you don't. I'm giving you
Consistency
the
is key.
floor. I'm giving you the floor to introduce
It's always very
yourself.
consistent.
And so did you see the McDonald's commercial for the Super Bowl?
Think about what you just asked me.
No. I know, but they've been playing it otherwise. Jeff,
No,
do
I
you
did
know what
not
it
see
is at
that.
all? All right. It was brilliant, okay? It was absolutely brilliant. And you just doing that right there because it was your own stinking name that I asked you to identify. And you went, So in McDonald's in their brilliance of marketing.
Sorry, I'm looking at my project thinking about, I need to do that and that over
Well,
there. And I know.
Don't think on that over there. Think over here.
I know.
We have 1 hour with these wonderful people
I
choosing
fixed
to
it.
listen to us
It's all
on the
fixed now.
fastest rising Jeep, auto, and off-road enthusiast podcast on the internets. You heard that here first, folks. So McDonald's does this thing, right? So don't focus over there. Focus over here.
Yeah.
McDonald's does this ad where it says, it's kind of like a blank screen, and it says, welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order? And all of a sudden, this person, kind of smiley, happy person, goes,
Yeah.
and it's just,
That speaks to my wife's soul.
it's just everybody, and it's this great multicultural marketing experience where everybody just goes, and it's like you go up to the menu board and you forget like everything you're supposed to be
You
doing
can't
in life.
function.
You can't function. It's like when I asked you to just
Yeah, my wife can
articulate
attest
your
to that.
name.
Poor girl working in retail since she was 16.
yeah.
It's first at McDonald's and now at Aldi. She deals with the public on a daily basis.
My esteemed colleague.
Yeah. Well, she knows that. She lives with me. She knows how that is.
Oh my gracious.
So what'd you do this weekend?
Well, no, wait a second. So I went to McDonald's and I felt like the pressure was on not
Oh,
to
no. Uh-huh.
and I was so frazzled by the time that I ordered.
You got a cheeseburger.
I don't even know what I got. It doesn't matter what I got because I was so frazzled because all I was trying desperately to do was to not say Oh, you know what it was? I was sitting on the Jeep and the mirror blocked out a whole portion of the menu. So I made sure to not say and articulate that I wanted a shamrock shake.
Oh boy.
God, that's gonna be a soundbite, folks.
That's the sound bite.
That's going to make the blooper reel.
That's right.
I could not see the menu, so I was like, that guy. It was blatantly in front of me in a big, giant 2 foot by 2 foot advertisement. But, Joel, yeah, a live studio audience we would have started with. Filmed in
Yes.
front of a live studio audience. Yeah, well, it's Happy President's Day. That's why people pull it off, and that's why it's important that we're here doing what we're doing.
Yep.
All right, what did I do this weekend? I played basketball with my kids, but I also attempted to hook up. Oh my gosh, the pressure's on when I say my adventure trailer. If you're unfamiliar with some of our social media, my wife and I, in COVID stuff that was happening, we took it upon ourselves. We lived in an area where we had 8 freshwater lakes in a county, removed from the shop here. And we decided to canoe all of those and camp and all this kind of stuff. So we put together this trailer that my sister and I actually drug home from Alaska. And we affectionately call it, thanks, Dave. I'm in the middle of a story, and I'm reading Dave's comments. If you're listening to us online, understand you can join us live on Mondays at 10:19 a.m., and you can be in our live studio audience, but, remotely.
But
virtually. But anyway, so with the adventure trailer, affectionately the Alaskan Adventure Trailer, which is just this
It's a good story for another podcast.
good story for another podcast. Yeah, camping our way down from Alaska. But I was trying to make my wife's mall crawling JL, play nice with the Alaskan Adventure Trailer, which I had wired just last summer to work well with my 1-ton Ram, which of course is a very small trailer, very big truck.
Yes.
And I did a 7-pin 7-pin wiring kit.
All Jeeps should have 7 rounds on the back of them.
Well, Jen's has a 4-pin.
Yep.
And I was out in the cold. Like, I couldn't wait until yesterday when it warmed up a little bit.
Of course not.
It was Saturday night, and of course I didn't
When it
address
was
it appropriately.
Almost single digits.
It was single digits.
Yes. Because
And
you're not happy unless your fingers can't be felt. And,
That's I
gloves,
I wanted
hardware.
to subject myself to the brutal conditions. But here I am out power probing my wiring, and I'm chasing to the front of the Jeep and the back. And at one point in time, the Jeep was just a hair removed from my garage, and I was like, I'm not laying down in the slush, so I had to back it in
It's
just
standards.
a hair. I did lay down in the slush eventually to trace the wiring. Somebody did the Jeep did not come standard with a tow package.
Yep.
And so somebody cobbed in, an aftermarket T harness, and it was all green. So here I've got the tail light removed and these frozen fingers that don't want to work, and I'm wire stripping.
Yes.
And I committed a cardinal sin.
Oh, no. You used a Scotch lock, didn't you?
I used a household wire nut.
Oh, no.
I did it. I did it, guys. This is not okay to do professionally, but I was doing it for the purpose of diagnostics.
Ah.
The purpose of
I
diagnostics.
don't think that's okay. It's not okay.
Don't use household wire nuts, folks. Please don't.
I'll use vice grips
Please
before
don't.
you do that.
Yep. Joe Harper's joining us this morning. We've got a nice group of people on President's Day here. Wait till you'll deal with the 12-pin.
Yep.
Oh.
That exists.
What's a 12-pin?
It was in between.
I'm a pretty well-read individual. And your wife's joining us. You had a true Alaskan experience. I did.
Good one, Joe. Good one, honey.
That's not good.
So, anywho, at my old job, we had to service some what's the word I want to use?
I don't know. What is the word you want to use?
Some vehicles for Windstream and that kind of stuff. And they are
fleet vehicles.
Fleet vehicles. That's the word.
The word fleet. Were you looking
vehicles.
for fleet?
And
Okay.
on their trailers, they were stuck in 1961, and they all had 12 pins.
Really?
Yeah, it was
what
really
would the 12
awkward.
pins do? I'm a really well-read
Same
individual.
thing as everything else we're used to, just different plugs so that nobody has it, and it's a real pain to work with. And
Huh.
yeah,
I mean, I could.
it's like they sat down. It's like, how can we make our daily day life hard? Let's do that.
His what?
The soundbite.
That's
for you,
the
Jack.
blooper reel.
I love
That's
it.
better than yours.
Folks, folks, we're really good with Jeeps. I just want to make sure that we continue to say
So my
that.
wife actually figured out why I do that.
Oh, okay.
It's because I was a lonely child.
No. It's actually I've determined you're combining 2 to 3 words at a time.
Well, yes, but
and we just
but
have to translate.
she came
which
up with
words
this, and
those
it's
are.
so good. I'm gonna give her credit. Is because I was a lonely child and I didn't have anybody to interact with.
Right.
So I didn't speak. I read. So I sounded out all my words. And if you sing English language is not friendly for the people that sound out words. You get wrong words. So here I am. I'm living proof.
I like to say
Socialize your children.
Scott
Don't
is
feed me.
Scott is living proof to
Yes.
socialize your children.
Yes. Reading is good, but you need to socialize them too.
Oh, jeez.
This is why I do love and appreciate what you bring to
Yes.
every day. I think it's because your savantist nature, your brain is moving so fast
Yes, that too.
with these, kind of intertwined synapse fires.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to go with.
So while we're talking about stuff we shouldn't do,
Yes.
I should talk about what I did this
Oh,
weekend.
gracious.
So those that don't know, I bought a Hoyer, which is something that picks up people out of beds
For the medical industry.
For the medical industry for $25. $50.
Oh, it's a great investment.
I pulled a flathead out of my frame last night or yesterday.
Flathead.
With it.
Your flathead V8.
Yes.
What is that? Like, I don't know, 800 pounds?
I don't know. It's like there's a roll pin that holds a little lever so you pump it up. That actually broke. I was pushing down on it so hard.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And the frame isn't quite square anymore.
Good morning, Kristen. She's also chiming in. Try telling your kids to sound out a last name like ours.
Yes, that's why I have a last name. I was on a crayon, and that's how I got through my early
That's a
days.
true story, folks.
Yes.
That Scott literally learned his last name based on the brown
I remember
crayon
being
Thank
under
you,
pressure.
Crayola.
in like the 12th. Yeah, thank you, Crayola.
Instead of saying, I was reading the crayon going, I got a cheat method here.
I've got a cheat method.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, Crayola. But we're welcome to take your, contributions if you have any.
Where's our 24-pack of crayons? I want sharpeners, too.
Next week, a 24-pack shows up
I'm
for
okay with
everybody.
that.
Rich kid, you had 60-pack.
Oh, man.
64-pack, wasn't it?
64. You're right.
Ballin'.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Ballin'.
wasn't one of the rich kids.
That's right. Yeah, you placed yourself on that one.
So the whole reason I subjected the poor Hoyer to this is because I had myself that I could not pull my engine lift out behind my body, that it was just stranded there. And then once
It's important to note, you do have a cherry picker.
Yes.
A decent engine
it was
lift
just trapped, and I had thought,
amongst your projects.
I couldn't get this out of its.
What was
its
in
path.
front of it?
The body for my car.
Okay. So the body for your car is trapping
on one side of the garage.
Is
There's
one
a
side.
wall.
Yes.
And there's all my hoard of stuff that it's wintertime, so everything just comes and dies in the garage.
Oh my gosh, I dealt with that this weekend as well. Yep.
So, and I'm working on the warm side, and that's cold. And I don't like cold, so
Right.
it's like it's just over there. It doesn't exist.
Yes.
And then when I started realizing the harm I was causing to my favorite tool, because I lift everything with that transmissions, transfer
I was going to say,
cases.
you had that here for a little bit. Don't hurt that Hoyer.
No,
I'm
I think
pretty
I can
fond of
fix
it as well.
I can fix it. Maybe not Greg approved fixes, but I can fix it.
Yeah.
But so I was like, talk to my wife, and she's like, well, you don't need to do that anymore. You should get we'll figure out how to get the lift out of the other side. So I went over there and looked at it. It's sad. I just took the legs off, unbolted them with 2 bolts, removed 2 bolts, let the lift down, and rolled it through the man door. It was like 5 minutes.
You could have done that.
I could have done that. Yeah.
No.
Don't do what we do.
No. And what's funny? You say that like you just bring stuff in and you dump it, especially if it's the cold side.
Yep.
And I'm dealing with that on my personal garage as well. And so these the project kind of like grows out the door. You know what I mean? Because again, you're like the last time I used the power probe, I was like too cold, and so I just kind of wadded it up and put it in front of the 4-wheel project.
Exactly.
Which is then. There's some totes that we brought down off the shelf.
Flat surface?
Flat surface,
Heck yeah.
which then has lug nuts on it, and now it has
Makes
grown out.
perfect sense to me.
So I unfortunately had one of my neighbors talk about I think he was just trying to be, polite about things, and he was talking about, oh yeah, well, I'd keep my vehicle in my garage, but right now it looks like your garage where you just couldn't get anything in and out of it if you ever wanted to and couldn't do anything.
He was trying to bond there, but he was attacking.
I felt, my man card was just kind of fluttered away at that point, and I was like,
I could totally be, successful and purpessul,
if
but
my garage didn't look like yours.
doesn't look like yours.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Thank you. That's great. All right. Well, so you lifted a flathead.
So
Obviously, is there more to the 36?
Lifted the flathead out, and I actually sold that off. It went off to Cincinnati this weekend, so I can finance my slightly higher horsepower. I'm going from 85 to maybe 110 horsepower, knocking the socks off here.
Whoa.
Flathead build. And then I thought, I want to clean up the bottom of the frame. And jack stands don't go tall enough, and I have a lift. And I haven't broken it yet with the flathead, so I should totally just pick up the side of my frame and put it at a 45-degree angle, and then put 2 milk crates, and then put jack stands on top of that, and then sort of put them under the axles, so I can work under it.
What?
Oh
my God! I'm so in love right now.
That's currently in my garage.
There's milk crates holding up part of your frame.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I can get behind this.
And I thought,
folks, we're not going to do that to your Jeep. I
No.
promise.
Foolishness happens at home.
Yes.
And then I thought, it's only went to a 45 because the Hoyer was maxed out on lift.
Okay.
And I rehooked it once, and it was like, okay, I can't go anymore. But now I have the engine crane.
Oh man, you can
I'm
stand that thing
I'm
right
laying it
up.
on its side at this point.
On its side. Pick it right up.
Completely sideways. Why not?
You're a new man.
Yes, I can. And it takes up so much less space now on its
On
side.
its side. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
The stuff you're going to be able to do.
I'm
going
going to clean the bottom and
the right
paint
tool
it.
for the right job.
Right tool, right job. I don't know why I didn't do this 3 months ago.
Because it was cold.
It was cold.
It was.
Those 2 bolts.
All right, folks. If you have stayed on long enough through our shenanigans on a personal level, not a professional, but a personal level, and understand that's what shapes us in helping you. We've got a fun show as the clock is ticking, and again, a big shout out if you're joining us on Facebook Live. Feel free to comment and interact with us. We definitely love people being part of the show with us. Dave Jones has said he loves our website, and we appreciate that feedback. If there's something you don't love and, you want to share with us, you can tell us that too, and we'll interact and see those comments. And they're coming up live, and you should also see them live on the Facebook feed. Also, this will be up on YouTube on Friday. And, of course, depending on where you're at in the world and, what time it is, you might be joining us via iTunes, Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, so on and so forth. So thank you for joining us and being part of that. And we hope that we are both informing and entertaining in the process. We're going to be talking a little bit about, obviously, what's going on in the world, kind of our current event stuff. And we'll be talking somewhat about the Jeep wave and kind of how it all started. We had a nice, successful post run on Facebook recently featuring one of my sisters talking about how the Jeep life started for her. And it was very cool to see how people responded to that. And we'll obviously do our product spotlight, hashtag not sponsored. And you can see this, as I knock over the microphone.
Yeah,
You're killing me.
Yeah, it is. You all may or may not have seen the microphone was like literally spinning like something out of Poltergeist. Not Poltergeist. What was that movie?
No, I didn't get us live in time to capture that. I was trying.
Yeah,
I helped him.
Yes, you
Fixed it.
Fixed per usual. That's what you're good at. And then we'll doing some blind react. And again, if you've stayed with us long enough, we'll be doing some President's Day trivia and Jeep-related game at the end, which Jeff and I conspired against Scott over the weekend.
I already struck fear in Jeff's eyes, though.
You tried to conspire against him. I conspired against both of you, though.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
That happened.
I took your idea and ran with it.
Oh boy, oh boy. So we had to chime everybody in on our morning conversation. There was definitely, depending on where you fall on the electric vehicle side of the conversation, you were either in love or you were hating them this weekend. So you definitely had some interactions, made up stories, boats on fire.
Yep, I saw 2 or 3 threads about it. One of them was, I can't say his name wrong, so I'm just going to warn you right now. David Frankfurter, however the heck you say his name, from Hot Rod.
Frankfurter?
Stop
I think
it.
you just said Frankfurter.
Anyway, there's a boat on
Freiburger?
fire with a bunch of cars on it, and some of them are EVs, and that just started this like runaway thing.
Okay.
And then some tow truck people were very concerned about their EVs just bursting into flame on their beds.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yeah. So much that some people are getting roll-offs, filling them with water, and if your car isn't totaled from the accident, they're going to total it because they're putting it underwater.
Submerging it in a pool,
Yes.
basically.
Which isn't that bad for electrical fire.
I think that's terrible for electrical
That makes
fire.
it worse, I think.
makes it worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So don't do that.
And the thing is, right, and the problem is that the EV world is so full of hearsay at the moment.
Yep.
So I found myself actively engaged in a conversation. If you are, if you know me or if you heard anything, that I've talked before, I love the Jeep Wrangler 4xe, which is the new, hybrid. So it's a part gasoline, part electric vehicle. I truly believe that it's the best first stepping stone, mainly because I think you have to start somewhere, right? Though I think that it has 30, 40 years of engineering technology behind it, maybe in the drivetrain, but, maybe not so much in the hybrid side of things. Right now, those people are not so literally on fire as you are talking about, but figuratively on fire, because there is based on the hybrid petro, I'm going to call it petro just for fun, petro-electric relationship. There's a software thing going on, which is called Form. FORM. And if you are a Jeep 4xe owner, you likely know. If you're not, I'm gonna drop some edumacation on you here. But it stands for fuel and oil. Oh gracious, I just drew a blank. Fuel and oil.
Not you too.
I know. Gracious. I was like, oh yeah, I dealt with it all weekend, and
then it wasn't there.
Yeah, and now it's gone. But it gets stuck in a process where Jeep has some sensors, and so whether it is a software interface or it is the actual condition of the oil, right? Nobody's exactly sure how this process worked. The Jeep gets angry, and it gets stuck in basically your internal combustion mode.
Ironically, it makes me think of something I talked to my wife about this week. Is I am in this part of life where everything I own, I have to unplug, wait 5 minutes, and plug it back in, and it magically fixes itself.
Do a hard reset?
Hard reset. I was literally in bed, and my wife says, the refrigerator has this weird message on the screen. And I thought,
wait a second, you unplugged and replugged in your refrigerator?
And it fixed it.
No.
Had an error. C1. I'm Googling at midnight.
Your
what the
refrigerator
C1
has messages?
Well, and it's old, too.
I don't believe you.
So anyway, and I'm looking up, what does C1 mean? I don't know. And my wife says, just unplug it and plug it back in. I was like, that is our generation. We just grew up unplugging our PCs and plugging them back in, and magically they were healed. But I have to do that to my television, my refrigerator. I'm sure that the stove is plotting against me currently. I'm going to have to do that to that. And now we'll have to do that to our Jeeps.
Well, and
don't forget the kicking it, too. Sometimes you just have to
does
give it a
help.
kick.
Oh, gracious.
Swearing helps, too. It hears you.
So no, you got to talk nice to it.
Totally swore at my refrigerator.
Oh, you did. Of course you did.
Threaten it with a bigger hammer. It's all good.
There's your
if I had
father,
a hammer
Fred.
in the garage, I would have totally threatened it with a hammer.
The legacy of Fred is alive and well in your household.
Which is why older, grumpier people don't like new things like that.
Yes, the newfangled technology.
Well, that 1920 refrigerator just worked.
Oh my God. All right. So what's happening is it's not running in electric, right? So you own this electric vehicle, and it's not running in electric, and that's the big crux of the issue. So it's mainly happening in cold weather climates. So people, and what they're claiming is the issue is that you have a saturation of fuel that's basically contaminating the oil crankcase. Right? So think about our normal internal combustion engine, and sometimes a little bit of fuel does get past the rings on the piston.
Well, it depends on if we're talking like a 2A Willys, then it's a lot, or hopefully our JLs it's less.
Right. But that's what they're saying
time.
is that there's this interface,
it's very sensitive
safety issue. Yeah, and so most people are experiencing on their second oil change, which I thought was an interesting.
I wonder if quality of oil could have something to do with it.
See, and that's the thing, and we both know from 2012s and 2013s, and we had an oil pressure sensor sensitivity.
Yes.
Now, we know that from decades of Jeep life.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, a lot of these people who ran out and bought a 4xe, do they have that same kind of, background, or they're just relying on Jeep,
They're out unplugging it currently and plugging it back in.
Well, and that's the whole problem is that you're supposed to be able to leave it plugged in and start it, and it's supposed to go through a series of checks and balances, and then instead of warming up, the gas motor kicks on. And so what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to get to an internal crankcase temperature that would burn off the fuel. So you know how we've recently at SFJ dealt with when especially some of these newer Jeeps, they almost have like a foamy residue on the bottom of the oil fill cap.
Yep.
because of the short trips. The engine is almost too efficient, and it's not getting hot enough to
burn off moisture
burn off moisture.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is some type of safety control related to that. But ultimately, these
so
customers
it's trying to run the engine to burn it off.
Correct.
And then they're like, but I don't want you to be running right now. I want you to be on electric.
Correct. And that's the owner goes, I bought this Jeep to be on electric, not to be on gas.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jeep's going, but I need to, I need to protect myself. And the other thing about this is it's supposed to avoid stale gas. So if you fill up with, 87 octane, which is obviously, has a high ethanol content in it at this point in, day and age, and you just only ever make 10-mile trips, you could have 6-week-old gas, never been combust.
It's a classic thing is we hate all the new stuff sometimes, but there's reasons for it. The engineer we cussed did have a reason.
Right, has a reason. So the question is, are these abnormal results that people are getting? Or are these actually, is this actually what's happening to the Jeep? And so now that we've added computers and electronic control, it's this kind of the challenging thing for these new 4xe owners.
That or is it a learning curve, and that is happening for a reason, and we have to learn how to control that and how to prevent that.
Without question, which is why I love the 4xe as a
all
stepping
that
stone.
Is the case.
And yet, of course, the internet's boil it down to, I'm trading this thing in because it's a lemon.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, I don't know if it is. I think we're all in a learning. You're beta testers. Yes. You signed up to be a $70,000 beta tester. Mm-hmm. And if I could afford that at this exact moment in my life, if I didn't have, I don't know, a barn full of half-broken, very cool vehicles, I too would sign up to be a $70,000 beta tester. But
does your sister know they're in her barn?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
She went there.
Oh, dear. Don't. No, don't.
Don't poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear. But I thought it was funny. I'm just going to leave you with this one note. One of the guys, because there was a big fallout on this conversation, and because one of the people suggested just letting it sit there and idle in your driveway for an hour, and of course then people who own 4xEs are
probably losing their minds.
Are losing their minds because they are part of the reason they signed up to be this beta tester is for an environmental footprint, and they're going you're wasting fuel. And of course now people are breaking out their user manuals, which I love, and they're talking about fouling out spark plugs and how idling is actually bad for your engine, things that we totally we should not comment on at this moment.
Zip.
Yep, zip. But one of these guys got online. One of us got online and said,
not actually one of us.
No,
someone like us.
Good call on that one.
Yep.
Way to clarify.
Yep.
And he got online. He said, "Hey, you know what you need to do? Get your engine up to temperature. A couple short in-town driving, then get out on the highway." This guy was as serious as they come. I mean, he's really trying to bring something valuable to the conversation. He said, "Get out on the highway." And ram it into like second gear, as low of a gear.
Oh boy,
as low of a gear as you can make your Jeep go on the highway, and just run it at 4,000 RPMs, as long and as hot as possible.
Make sure
20
you
minutes.
trade that sucker in before you too long there.
I mean, people lost their minds. You know what I mean? Because he's talking about doing race car things down I-90, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I get his premise. He's like, it's going to get it warmer faster and burn it off quicker, and I'm less impacting and all this other stuff.
Yep, that's exactly what he was talking about.
Don't
In 20 minutes, I can have this fixed in my Jeep. By running 4,000 or 5,000 RPM down the highway in second gear. Because you bring the internal temps in the motor and the transmission
and
up
then
beyond 200 degrees.
I don't know why my motor blew up at 50,000 miles.
Yeah. I'm loving these conversations. Oh boy. So
right,
Kevin Halloran,
That's right,
Kevin Halloran left us a nice message online. Folks, I'm just going to let you read that
Yeah.
one if you're around and available.
Good one, Kevin.
Last week I talked about ethnicities. I think I'm going to leave it alone this week.
Back away
Though
slowly.
I will always
I got
bring
you, Kevin.
I will always bring in Jeffrey the Italian Stallion Chiaramonte.
Yes.
I have no reservation there. All right, so there's my 4xE piece. I love that conversation, even despite the fact that I can't remember what the fuel and oil mode, reduction, reduce, rejuvenation.
Just
I don't
let
know.
it go.
Somebody tell me
Let
what
it
that
go.
R means.
Let
I'm
it
dying
go.
here.
Let it go.
All right. Also important to note, this weekend, the Dayton Off-Road Expo. And folks, this was a great show, is a great show. And it was in the sense that we started doing this show, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we actually
Has it been that
started.
long already?
It has. It
Crazy.
absolutely has. So, and I wish Beth Hayes best of luck. She's one of the event organizers, Beth and her husband, David. I love this show. It's just outside the Cincinnati area in beautiful Wilmington, Ohio, and it's at a convention center. It's a great indoor show. We are unfortunately not participating in it this year, just based on our level of demand here at our facility and the ability to transition quickly into show mode. Is oftentimes a challenge, but it's a show that I love. And if you've got a little bit of time this weekend and you want to do some cool off-road stuff, definitely if you have kids, they've got monster trucks, they've got side-by-sides. You can actually sit and go into a monster truck. Not that one that's out and running around, but, just you can chill in it and have take a fun selfie. Very cool time. It's $5. So if you're in Ohio, Indiana, maybe even Illinois, Kentucky definitely is down there.
Or in Pennsylvania, you want to drive.
And Pennsylvania, you want to drive, Western New York. It's a really neat event. It's a beautiful area. You can get yourself some Skyline chili while you're out there. Definitely think about adding that to your list. I was reminiscing because we actually started. They did a little history thing, and it used to be it was at the Hare Arena or O'Hare Arena, and there was this convoluted series of buildings. And man, I think Greg did that show with me the first year, and Scott Lindquist. And we just had the best time. It was just this very organic experience for us. Good memories there. And now it's kind of fancy. It's in a hotel and a convention center. Very cool. And you can actually pull big rigs and all that kind of stuff into the convention center. So
Just
good time.
To go back to your form, your made-up word there.
Yes.
I did Google it for you.
Thank you.
It's fuel, oil, refresh mode.
Refresh. That's such a
Very
simple word.
refreshing.
Refreshing to know that you're on it, Jeffrey. Thank you for Googling it. I tried desperately to look it real quick on my phone, and I was like, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Refresh. I got fuel and oil and mode. Refresh. Because, again, they're trying to make sure the gas isn't stale and the oil isn't saturated. It's a very cool thing. We need to put our finger on it. Yeah, but it's like the 12s being 530 and 13s being 520.
And they did it for a reason.
And they did it for a reason, folks. And there's a reason that it changed a single year, production change on that as well. So time will tell. And we thank you 4xE beta testers.
Yes.
New to Jeeping. So we're going to talk about Beth's post. Did you see it?
I
Or
did.
you know what post it is?
I know what post it is.
Okay. And we talked a little bit. You obviously mentioned how you got into Jeeping.
Yep.
Last week for the Valentine's special. By the way, did Amy like her
Sander?
We're not talking about
Scott.
the actual device.
Scott. I wanted you made a beautiful Valentine for her
It's on the
on
refrigerator.
air.
It's on the refrigerator with my
And
kids'
he brought
drawings.
up Sander.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I was coming today. I was bringing something that was
It's
appropriate.
gone. That ship is
That
sailed.
Davey the Savage would not look condescendingly at me and be like, well, that's inappropriate, guys. So I was.
Davey's never seen Disney movies. It's apparent.
Right?
We hope you enjoyed that Valentine special, and
Yes.
we're trying desperately to make sure everything is family friendly at all times.
Yes, her Valentine is on the refrigerator, keeping my kids' sketches company.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, with that said, obviously we talked about your origins into
Well, I
it.
don't know. How did your wife like hers?
My wife liked it okay. She's okay. I brought it home. It's been a rough week. Lots of transitions for us.
Did she ask you why you made a bunch of Pac-Man linked together?
I can't even handle it. My daughter ended up with it, I think. My daughter really was smitten by it, so we just kind of allowed that to
Yep.
to be.
You can
to-
try better, do better
to take
next
hers.
time.
Oh, it's fantastic! I thought I did a ball. I thought I did a bang
I mean, it
up
definitely
job.
turned out better than Scott's because you put more time.
I
into
had
it,
some.
but-
Ouch, Jeff.
And mine was like a gift. You
Right.
unwrapped it, and and boom, 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 and it was spelled out.
You
I
can see
love
that semi-truck
JS.
running me over there.
Yeah. Scott found some stickers. Blah. That was a pretty good time. That was a pretty good time.
But his heart did look like a heart. I'll give him
It
that.
did.
Yeah, with side cuts on paper. So that's
Yes.
pretty impressive work there, honestly. As far as Beth got on a couple years ago, and she did this nice. She actually is standing in front of what is now my property where we're building a house, honestly, because it's this proverbial hayfield that my family literally learned to drive Jeeps in. And to learn to drive stick, because my grandfather was a hobby farmer, and post World War II. And a funny thing is, so my grandfather had in the occupation forces, he had access to Jeeps, and then he came back, and obviously he was just a general auto enthusiast, as you were of that time, you know.
Yep.
And my dad actually owned the Jeep first in the family, and he sold it to my grandfather. And then my grandfather, that was a steel tub, and it was this beautiful green, not quite the Loden green that we're doing with our 5 here, but it was a beautiful green. And my grandfather put in a fiberglass body on it, because that's what you did in the 80s. In the early 90s, and he used it as a tractor, basically. And so we towed hay wagons, and so my grandfather would run my grandma would run the tractor with the baler, and my grandfather would be on the wagon stacking the hay, because nobody stacked it quite right. It wasn't right unless he did it.
Yep.
And then he just yelled at the rest of us to do things differently. You know,
Yes.
it was just his way
Good
of showing his
forming.
love.
Yes.
And somebody had to drive the Jeep, which towed the hay wagon, right? And so, of course, because I was 6, I was I don't know, 9 and under, I couldn't really do anything. They gave me the very important job of running ahead, somewhere between the tractor and the baler, with the machinery, the PTO running, and the big, the rake pulling everything up and chopping up things and baling it into tight little twines, and then the Jeep that was careening with little to no brakes with a giant loaded hay wagon. My
See
job was to
anything wrong
run
there.
somewhere in between those two pieces of machinery and stand the bales on end.
Oh, I'm glad you're still here.
Adapt and overcome. The strong will survive. And then the men would come alongside the Jeep and the trailer, and they would grab the bales, which I had just so carefully stood on end, and heave them up onto this giant, hay wagon, apparatus. So my sisters literally learned to drive because that was like the job. In the Jeep, it was like, just throw it into low and first, and just drag it
On
around
and
the
off the
field.
clutch at that point.
And on and off the clutch, and just drag it around the field, you know. And the very cool thing is we actually have that Jeep in our family still, which was neat. But then, my parents were teachers, so they were, of course, poor. And by the time we were able to, kind of get on their feet and afford a Jeep, we bought this 95 YJ. Out of Columbus, my dad did, and it was like 97, 98, so it was only a couple years old. Had that good 30% depreciation off the lot, and we buy this Jeep and loved it desperately. And then my dad made a proposition to me and my sister. Now, they bought my sisters both first cars, Mazda, little Nissan, that kind of stuff. And I had been given a Ford EXP, which is a super cool car, for another story.
Not cool car. Sorry.
You notice I left out the actual model of it, and I just
was
used
an
the trim
Escort.
level. I just used the
was an
trim level.
Escort.
It was a Ford EXP.
Escort.
So anyway, once I had blown the clutch up in that, go figure. My dad was at a
He's
point.
much better now. You don't have to fear for your Jeep's lives here. Much better here professionally.
Very much, very much.
Not with his own Jeeps.
Yeah, my own Jeeps never make it out alive.
No.
So my dad made a proposition to me and my siblings. Said, he'll pay for half, and we'll pay for half. And so that's a pretty big amount of money for a 16-year-old to come up with a few $1,000s, but that's what we did. And we bought my first Jeep. It was an 87 YJ
Heard about last week.
Yep, out of what you heard about last week. But of course, in no way, shape, or form did it resemble the big monster that I buried in the pond in that story last week. It was actually this kind of derelict, pushed together in the shape of a Jeep that we bought out of the hood on the west side of Cleveland. And it was actually stuck in low range. I didn't know that when I bought it. And, of course, it's an 87, so it had a BA10 Peugeot transmission.
Maybe that's why it needed an engine.
Oh, definitely. Oh my God, yeah, it was definitely needed an engine because whoever was driving it before me, it was actually stuck in low range, and I bought it, and so it was like herky jerky, as we were trying to drive it. I loved it. I thought it was perfect the way it was.
Yep.
And then that obviously helped me learn and grow, and left me stranded on the road many times, caught on fire a couple. Buried in ponds.
That's all
good stuff
first
like that.
generation YJ shit.
Oh
dude.
yeah, all first. That's why we don't have them. It wasn't cash for clunker, folks. It was the fact they all burnt down in some manner. In some manner. But anyway, so my sister had an '87 as well. She had a 4-banger. She actually went on to competitively wheel in that YJ.
So
she
has
actually,
it too.
She still has that one. Yep, I got rid of mine.
Probably for the best.
It was for the best. People go, "Would you ever like your first vehicle back?" No, I don't. Like, good riddance. Good riddance. 1987 can keep that vehicle. It left me stranded so many times to only partially my fault. The only thing about that Jeep, there's nothing that I want back from that Jeep. I love YJs in general, but there was just it was a first year production vehicle.
I think it should be a forming as a young person comes up through and starts to learn to drive. They should have to drive a carbureted vehicle one winter.
Oh, absolutely.
To appreciate
our
what they
vehicle
have.
technology today's.
Yeah.
And not just carbureted, right? Because I could understand driving a carburetor vehicle, but this was a poorly computer controlled essence
Yes.
carbureted vehicle.
Yep.
It was garbage.
And you think, oh, it's not that bad. Well, I got to tell you, I thought for a brief moment I wanted to daily drive an 82 Concorde with the same motor he had. Wasn't a good time.
No.
Nope.
No.
Summertime was a good little toy to
was
have
fine.
to drive around. Winter, 10 degrees or so with your non-delay wipers. They're just either too fast or not on enough.
Yes.
That was not a good time.
All right, so that's my YJ in an abbreviated version, right? And obviously my sister has it, and she tells a nice story. If you haven't seen it on Facebook, folks, make sure you go check it out and engage in the conversation. One of the people, and I loved reading and seeing how other people got into it, and one of our customers, and since he publicly posted, his name is Mark, and Mark said that he heard of this Jeep of kind of for sale locally, and he went and looked at it, and he really enjoyed it, right? He thought it was cool. Now, if you're watching us, it's typically because you're Jeep people. You might be an auto enthusiast overall, and we hope that we're bringing something special to your table. But if you're a Jeep person, there's just a special community that goes with that.
Yep.
And many people, I'm always amazed online. They say, I waited 50 years to get my Jeep. I've always wanted one.
Well, everybody has a Jeep story. That's something we've had
Absolutely.
forever. I remember when I was little walking around, Ashtabula with my grandma, and there was this cool red Wrangler or CJ. At that time, it was a Jeep. That's all I knew.
Right.
And I thought it was so cool, and I just wanted one. And there's so many stories. I hear that all the time. I wanted one since I was in high school.
Yes.
And I finally got it.
Yeah, the cool guys had it in high school.
Yeah.
And I've waited my life, and I'm in a position I can finally have one.
There's very few vehicles that get that kind of response.
Exactly, right? So I think Mark goes and sees this Jeep, and of course he's smitten by it. But he writes on our Facebook post that he let his wife drive, and the wife was enjoying it, but as another Jeep was coming, Mark says, "Now they're going to wave at you, so be ready." Right? And of course, as that Jeep kind of pulled up on them, sure enough, that Jeep waved, and of course they enthusiastically responded back. And what a cool piece of our community that is, that maybe we take a little bit for granted sometimes, especially those of us who've been in it for decades at this point. But what a cool piece of camaraderie or
that's
relationship.
There's very few other things that get that. Like, obviously, motorcycles do.
Right, we got the motorcycle wave.
I've actually got a really good story about that with my father-in-law.
All right.
So he actually was a Harley rider. No, I'm gonna.
All right.
It's Jeep Wave.
The Italian stallion jumping in
on fire.
He's enthusiastic. Let's do it, Jeff. Let's do it.
My father-in-law recently bought his first Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
And when we were down in Arizona,
I remember this story.
he was a Harley rider. Arizona people just don't wave at each other. Even Harleys, they weren't waving.
They're grumpy.
So I'm riding with him in his Jeep Wrangler on his test drive. We're trying to sort some things out.
Did you
for
own a
him.
Jeep yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course I owned a Jeep.
Whoa! I touched on this.
Assaulted him.
I work at SFJ. I've always owned Jeeps my whole entire life.
Anyways, so I said to him, have you been getting the Jeep waves? He's like, nobody waves down here. I'm not even paying attention. I was like, just pay attention to the Jeeps.
Right.
Every Jeep that he passes in Arizona waves.
All the Jeeps wave.
All
the
Jeep
Harleys
wave.
don't.
He cannot believe it. He
Really?
said nobody in Arizona waves for anything, and Jeep community waves.
The Jeep community strong.
Strong Jeep.
Do they have a Corvette community? Because the only other ones that I know are the Corvette folks.
And classic cars. Classic cars wave at each other.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
That is a thing.
Yep. If you're
I
in
don't
your
know about
classic-
Arizona, but
Yeah.
but probably not because
in
it's too hot for
Northeastern
the
Ohio,
classic cars.
car people wave.
So in general, we've got classic cars, we've got Harleys, we've got maybe the Corvette Polo Club, and
I'd say motorcycles because I've never had a Harley, and other bikes will wave at you. That you get snubbed sometimes by Harley people that you're not on a Harley, they won't wave at you. But that's the same way with I've seen it with Jeeps too.
Yes.
I'm trying not to talk about ethnicities, and he's putting a whole group of people on Harleys down.
I'm sorry.
Folks,
boy.
I'm here for you.
I'm sorry.
Harley owners, I believe in you.
But something I was really amazed when I got my JK is other JK people would wave to that Jeep, but if I'm in my wife's 7, they wouldn't wave to it.
Really?
It's like they only identified with the same vehicle they
They
have.
probably only know. I mean, there's a vast majority of entry level people who kind of just know that it's what their vehicle looks
And I have
like.
a call out.
Oh boy.
If you get one of those hand wave things on your mirror,
Yes.
you still have to wave.
No.
That doesn't give you a
No.
free pass.
No. Put the hand wave on your mirror.
Nope.
Yes.
You gotta wave at me. I'm
No,
not
you
waving
don't.
at your mirror.
No, you don't. You can wave at the mirror, folks. Put the hand wave on. Maybe you're distracted. You
Nope.
shouldn't be a distracted driver, but maybe you are.
Diver?
You're right. You shouldn't be distracted. You should be looking at the road, not other people's hands.
That's right. You're not waving, so that's why it's
Especially when
on
you're underwater
the
with
mirror.
your what, air tank on your back.
Yep. This is the grammar police show, folks.
And I gotta run with it. I get beat up so bad.
Where we
The few times I get to beat somebody else up with it, I gotta go for it.
All I know is our next blooper reel is going to be great.
Oh no.
All from this episode.
Right?
No. The wave, right? So we actually built a Gladiator. He was kind of funny in the process that he actually got specialized plates that
Oh,
said
not waving.
not waving. And I don't know what his exact intention was other than just to be a rebel
Yes.
without a cause. But he actually got it not waving. So do you know where the Jeep wave originates from, or
Well,
at least
it's-
folklore says?
My folklore that I choose to like is the GIs would wave at each other and MBs up and down the road. And that kind of stuff.
I agree with you, and that's what I too believe. And I think the interesting thing was, again, like my grandfather in the post-occupation forces, when somebody was driving a Jeep, you kind of could assume that they had a connection to you.
Yeah.
And so while you didn't actually know them, you could think, maybe they served. They were willing to subject themselves to, the uncomfortable condition of the leaf-sprung open-air Jeep.
Yes.
And so you'd wave, which I think is cool. To think that the Jeep wave has lasted 80 years.
Yep.
I'd like to believe that.
Yeah. I'm on board for that.
I'm on board for it. I'd like to know somebody. I'd like to talk to some of our friends and acquaintances who were around in the Jeep community in the 60s and 70s and know if the Jeep wave was as prevalent then as it is now.
Yeah. You should totally let us know on the comments and that kind
Absolutely.
of
If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook,
thing.
let us know.
Do your 2 cents of that.
If you were wheeling, jeeping, racing, was that a thing in the 60s and 70s as much as it is now? People get online and like, they didn't wave. How dare this new brand, this new model of Jeep?
Oh yeah.
They're not waving.
As long as soon as there was another Jeep model, there's been Jeep haters.
Oh my gosh! As soon as there's a new Jeep model, and especially if you build up that Jeep model. So I'm going to tell a little story on my wife. She's not watching anyways, so
Poor Jennifer.
I'll tell a little story. And of course, we all know her gorgeous mall crawler that I wrecked last in the beginning of
But
January.
it's fixed now.
But it's fixed. Guys did a wonderful job on it, and big shout out to our friends at our paint shop, at Safe Light, all of the above for pulling together and making that work out nice. So how did my wife get into it? She obviously didn't. She's been forced into it by loving me, and so I bought her a Beat XJ, when we were first married,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was a good idea. I didn't consult her. I now
Don't
know
do that.
wasn't a good idea.
No.
She had a car as well, but I thought, this is going to be her opportunity for a 4x4, And again, that was, because it's an XJ and it was
And
beat.
because the car wasn't cool, it broke down all the time.
Oh, all the time. All the time. Both of those vehicles broke down because I was young. We were young and married and making choices. So, those vehicles broke down. So then she went about a decade without any Jeepness, and she was okay with that. So then the JL comes out, and I love them, and I think they're a fantastic platform to build upon and to start with. And the appropriate ruggedness mixed with accoutrements, and so we got a JL. And then obviously here at SFJ, they did an amazing job. We've got, all decked out and Fishbone and KMC and Cooper and Super Chips, all those kind of goodies built up on it. And so it's this sexy looking Jeep running all over the place, So she goes into Walmart, blissfully ignorant to the Jeep, the Jeep Wave, the Jeep Life. She's desperate for a hand on her mirror so that, so she can sort of be in the Wave thing because she's just kind of not looking for other Jeeps. She came back out to an angry note.
Uh-oh.
She came back out and she was like,
You didn't wave at me?
"You didn't wave at me."
Oh, boy.
Somebody was so moved by the fact that she's driving a built Jeep and she didn't wave that they made sure to find her Jeep in the parking lot and write her an angry note.
Wow.
"It's a Jeep. Make sure you wave."
Wow.
I was like,
That's great.
yeah.
That's almost as good as the ducking of the Jeeps.
Oh,
And what? I
I
haven't
like
been
the ducking.
I haven't
do too,
gotten
but I mean,
ducked in
people
my.
get angry about it.
They do get angry.
They do.
I don't know why. It's fun. Just
I haven't
fun.
gotten ducked yet in my JK. I got one for my XJ once, but not for the JK.
I've gotten ducked.
Yeah,
I've got 3 on the JT.
I know you have.
It's because people like your bug deflector old man.
Yes,
right.
that is the case.
It's all the bug deflector.
It's that
Folks,
bully.
tell us what your story is, right? Tell us, do you have a Jeep Wave story? How did you get into Jeeps? If you're watching on YouTube,
Were you
obviously,
attacked because you didn't wave at
were you
someone?
attacked because you didn't wave, right? Or if you have a different belief in how the wave started, we'd love to hear it. And obviously, if you have an experience from that middle years between the GIs, waving at each other because they decorated and kind of commemorated their experiences to now where it's this culturally fun thing to do. Were we waving? I don't know. That's cool. Tell us about it. Do you have an experience with that? So we're ready to do product spotlight.
Product spotlight.
And now it's time for our product spotlight. Hashtag not sponsored. Spotlight. Hashtag not sponsored.
That's really something.
It's something.
That's something.
Yeah.
We're real fancy here, folks. We're just
Jeff is
always,
fancy.
always in the constant pursuit of professionalism and bringing like the best possible experience to your Jeep off-road and auto needs. So, our product spotlight today, folks, in the hashtag not sponsored, is a brand that is that I currently have a love affair with, and all of our employees here have some experience with them, or I would say the majority of the employees have some experience with them, and they are a brand that has been putting up with my shenanigans a lot recently. So I thought I would give them an appropriate shout out. I'm also trying to bolster their online experience. They have this. They have a dedicated installer community, which has a ton of potential.
Yep.
And I was on there this weekend trying to try and bring some fun and
I saw that.
yeah, I want to build some camaraderie in that grouping because the people on their end, and that's not to say that there's not great suspension manufacturers all across the country. There are, but this particular brand just keeps delivering kind of high quality and kind of just a low characteristic way, meaning they're just kind of unassuming.
Yeah.
They're
Lots of people don't know who they are yet. If you have an XJ or a ZJ or a WJ, you have probably heard of them.
100%.
But they have now branched out and they have JK lift kits, JL lift kits,
JT.
JT.
Yep, absolutely.
And I remember when I had my XJ, I had their lift on it, and other XJ owners would get so excited when they realized you had this kit. And then they'd want you to put it on the ramp and see you drive off the end because that's what it
Because
would
it just
do.
flexes so much.
Flexes so much.
So, folks, we are talking about Iron Rock Off-Road, or IRO, and for short and abbreviated communication. IRO is, I'm going to do this because they're proud to put these made in the USA stickers on there. We certainly have, if you followed SFJ for very long, we are a USA proud company, meaning we really want to prioritize USA manufacturers. That's not to say that they're the only manufacturers in the world. We're not, but we want to support our
as much as possible,
brothers and sisters as much as possible. And we also like to believe in the high quality processes that USA manufacturing brings to the table. So Iron Rock USA is out of off-road. Excuse me. Iron Rock Off-Road is in the USA, and they are out of Minnesota.
Oh boy,
and
you're gonna have angry people now.
No. They're just no. I'm not. They're not going to be angry. They're going to be sad. They're going to be like, oh, that poor special person who can't pronounce Minnesota. That was my attempt at Northern Minnesota.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good. That's a soundbite right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it more if we have to talk about it because I actually really like saying it in my head.
That's
Nothing. No boy. Moving on.
So, if you've watched much of our social, I just smacked my microphone too.
the audio guy's gonna get real mad.
The
at you.
audio guy. If you've watched much of my social media recently, you'll know that we're doing a bunch with IRO. And again, it's not sponsored. We're really not getting any type of a big bolstered relationship. It's just because I straight up believe in their products. They are one of our most reliable manufacturers throughout all of the supply chain issues that have happened over the last couple of years through build tolerances, quality control, and then follow-up. If you've dealt with me on a business level, I'll always say, it's not how many times we do things perfectly, but how we react when things don't go well or how we respond. And so I'm looking for, as far as brands are concerned, how does that brand follow through on their customer service experience? And IRO has stepped up their game significantly in the last couple of years with all that's going on. So Iron Rock Off-Road, we've actually done a number of JLs recently. We've done what we would call a mid-arm lift, and I understand that Jeffrey is planning to do a long arm.
That's right.
On his JT. We did just recently do a long arm upgrade on a JL. And
JLUR.
JLUR, one of our research and development Jeeps here. And if you've seen, some of my Tech Tuesday videos recently, we talk about the compound bends. We talk about the engineering that goes into making them, very functionally minded. They invest a lot of time and energy on that and not, bolstering like big flashy marketing and not... they're not going after big shock development, shock and stabilizer development.
Yep.
They really want to talk about energy transfer from a suspension,
and
suspension
that's what
level.
helps it ride nice and go down the road nice. And that's what everything, in my experience, that has that lift on it. It just goes down the road so pleasant. And then you can climb over a boulder the size of your Jeep.
Right. And it's important to note, Chuck Norris, my personal LJ on Tons and 40s and all those goodies, is on a Iron Rock Off-Road suspension. The LSXJ from our performance mechanic, Greg, he is on a Iron Rock lift. Your XJ that you built was similarly on an IRO lift.
Yep.
And again, we're supporting them because they support the off-road community at a functional level. Not a lot of flash from their product line or how they brand themselves, but just straight up works well in many and arguably all situations. What they have very cool. Besides what I love to talk about, their compound bends, they try to bring the suspension inside or above the frame rail. So inboarding typically is what they try to do.
Yeah, where other lifts will actually hit frame, and then you have a limiting factor. They'll pass, no problems. You don't rub control arms when you steer.
Correct. Some other suspension manufacturers will seek the path of least resistance, and they'll actually lower your ground clearance by hanging your suspension components below your frame rail.
And then they'll go straight to the front axle.
Where IRO is regularly, especially on their long arm or some of their premium suspension components, will bring the components in. And arguably, the price point wise is not.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And so it is comparable to anything else on the market with a high level of engineering.
And they like to think about serviceability, specifically the TJ, LJ kit. You don't have to take your arms all loose to drop your transmission out. That's all separate pieces. So someone's looking at it going, I can't, maintain this way, so I want to do it this way. And I'm going to use more material and a little bit harder design to do that. And it's very appreciated, at least on the service side over here.
Absolutely. They have a longitudinal perspective that they bring to the table. It's not just kind of hurry up, get her done.
Yep.
They're really thinking about not only when I install this, but a year, 2 years, 6 years from now,
Yep.
what's this suspension gonna be doing for me? So definitely, if you hear us talking about it, you see it on some of our social media forums. This is the company that we're talking about. Again, much love to Terraflex, Rusty's, JKS, Rockcrawler, Clayton. All of those folks.
They all have their place.
They do. They all have their place. And any one that I forgot in the process is nothing, we'll talk about them in the future. But right now, I thought it was appropriate that we talk a little bit about this and share just our continued or my continued love affair with them. And they actually have an in-house machine shop, which is also very cool. I think a lot of our suspension companies do, but they're tooling out a lot of their own parts themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So their flex joints are largely made in-house. They actually have rod ends. One of the things that they bring to the table, which is super unique, is their rod ends are almost twice the length of any other rod end on the market. So you get a ton of adjustability out of their componentry. And of course, in Chuck, I actually have, a stretch, and they actually have custom-made stretch arms for me on the front and rear. And of course, that's a rear triangulated suspension with a 3-link in the front.
You're not afraid to do a little bit different stuff or special stuff for like someone like us, because they're small enough, they're willing to do that. And sometimes you get bigger companies that are like, nope, this is how it is. This is what we're selling, and you buy it or you don't.
Yep, it was made in a batch of a few thousand, and there's no changing it at that point.
Yep.
Whereas actually the part in front of me here, it was a track bar mount, and they actually offer several track bar mounts for the TJ platform. And this was one, we're doing a big JK to TJ axle swap, and this track bar mount just simply is going to work better in our application. It moves, it's the one that's on my Jeep, and it moves your track bar forward a couple inches. And I could talk at length about track bar mounts, but I won't bore you at this point about that. You can call me. You can message me. I'll tell you all of the finite details about track bar mounts you never wanted to know. All right. So do we have if there's anything else about IRO, we'll speak now or forever hold your peace. Otherwise, I think we have a blind react to deal with.
Yep. Oh, Jeffrey.
You okay there, Neil?
Oh, Jeff.
I really want to hit play on the video,
Go
but
ahead.
Neil can't even breathe at the moment.
Okay, focus on the screen, Neil.
Folks, I am so sorry if you're listening to us from far away. All right, we're going to watch something on the screen that we haven't seen yet, and then we're going to tell you. It looks like a tough truck challenge already.
Yep.
All right.
These
ZJ.
guys push hard,
These guys push
so
on.
hard that one of them even ends up in the lake.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
Oh, air
It's
bike.
broken.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, it's not broken.
Oh!
Oh, it's broken. Oh,
Look at those sweet wheels. That was an aluminum.
poor ZJ.
Oh, prize is just $300.
Ah.
That doesn't hold them back.
No, drive it.
There's-
Drive.
oh, no.
Oh, that's a nice looking XJ.
Yeah, the last one didn't have any rockers.
Doors
door.
open.
Doors
Doors
open.
open.
Flings open.
Oh, down.
Oh.
Oh, it doesn't have any rockers. I feel a little better now.
No worries. Just keep sending it.
That's like a early '90s, Scott.
is-
Did you
No,
see
it's
that?
not.
That was a. Look at the light on the.
It's an 97 to 01.
I thought it looked like oh, he broke something.
Definitely
He broke
broken.
something.
And remember I said someone ends up in the lake?
Oh, no.
Dub J?
Yep.
Oh boy. Dub
I
J.
present to you the Dilly Gaff Send It Trump Wagon.
Oh,
no.
boy.
Oh, no.
Oh. Oh, it's locked up. Oh no. Where's the will? There's a way.
It's back at it.
Back at it. He's.
Oh,
Oh.
oh boy.
You didn't need that rear bumper anyways.
And there it goes.
Boop. Just booped it. Booped it right into the lake.
Oh, poor Jeeps.
That was.
We should have a
you know
moment of
what?
silence for those Jeeps that gave their lives.
I was in my moment of silence. You're laughing. I was in my moment of silence. That was we could experience the Cherokee. That was
Yeah,
experience the Cherokee.
Span of Cherokees.
We had an XJ, we had a ZJ, we had a WJ.
Yeah.
We just needed a KL out there.
Oh boy.
I would have ripped it up in a KL.
You probably would have.
Remember, top prize was only $300.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's a little bit out of their price range there. Give it time. It'll come.
Yeah, the KL would not have been worth it at that point.
Yeah.
I always watch those and I think I would like to do that.
Nope.
No?
No desire.
No desire.
No, I'll help build it.
Yeah.
But you can get the
Wife won't let me.
soreness from it.
Wife won't let me.
I think
I've
it'd be
tried.
fun.
Probably for the best. She's seen
Kristen,
what we do in our
Kristen,
own garages.
Your husband said he might be a sponsored driver for SFJ.
No, just tell him no, Kristen.
Wonder how you feel about that, because I'm okay if I send somebody else out.
Yeah.
I will totally do it. She knows I would.
Jen's
She won't like it, but she knows I would do it.
My wife's laid the kibosh on me. I've
Yeah.
tried to do the the figure 8 track
Oh boy.
derby drive.
No.
Crasharama. That's
Yeah,
what I was looking
no.
for. Kristen's weighing in saying no. Big no. Big
Yes.
no from
Told
the
you She
wife.
wouldn't like it, but she knows I would do it.
The big no from the wife there. How'd you feel about the ZJ's performance? I felt it was not
was
the
okay.
ZJ. I meant the Dub J.
Oh,
I
the
felt it was
Dub J.
underwhelming.
Yeah. It was probably broken.
It was broken. Probably had no structural support for the controllers.
I don't think any of them had any structural support left.
that XJ looked pretty good to me.
And no, I didn't have any rockers.
Meh. We don't need rockers where we're going. With that said, folks, in true honor of President's Day, and of course in a moment of actual solemn importance, it is an important day. So those of you who have the day off, obviously we're here doing this show for you so that you enjoyed it, and it's important we recognize the contributions of these good individuals who have served our country well over the years. In less of a solemn moment, we're going to play the game Made in the USA, Honest Abe, a game of truths. Jeffrey, did you have an opening for that?
I do.
Of course he does.
Yes.
Why are you cracking up?
Can you hear me? Can people hear me right now? Hire a guy with with a background in sound quality. He's supposed to be a mechanic, folks, just so we know. He was hired as a technician. He literally has a degree in sound production. Are we gonna play the game? I feel like I should be take my hat off. I should.
There's a flag behind you.
Oh dear. Do we have enough time for this? Can we play the game now?
We ran out of time a while ago.
Can we play the game now?
Say does that
See how he complains about singing, but he
star-spangled
does it every chance he gets?
banner yet wave for the land of the free.
Baby's scribbling on his
and
clipboard.
the home of the brave.
This soundbite was brought to you by Neil Simpson.
Play ball. That's a great song.
I really was only going to play a clip of it, but you
Yeah,
guys got so into
he got
it.
moved
I
by the
had to.
moment.
Oh, we're okay. Nobody's watching anyways. They've all signed off at this point.
He scared them off.
Yes, they're done.
All right, so this game is called Honest Abe. I can't even talk. Again,
I'm sorry.
Scott's rubbing off on folks over
Right.
here.
a game of truth. So
How long is this going to be?
it's I don't know. Each round will feature 2 truths and 1 lie. Neil and Scott must work together to determine the lie.
Okay.
Politics do not matter.
No.
Our production team only looked at Jeep facts and ignored all political positions. Please refrain from any political comments. So, round 1. In 1930, President Herbert Hoover appointed John North Willis to the ambassadorship of Poland.
I'm done.
What? I
Are
said
you
it
gonna
right.
be? Are you gonna be one of the people who insist on saying Willis
No,
from
we
here
don't,
on out?
Kristen.
No, it's his name.
No, we
It's not
don't.
I'm not talking about the Jeep. I'm talking about the guy's name.
Oh my God, your wife just suggests. First of all, we've missed like 16 people have commented. First of all, Chuck, yes, our sound guy is a rock star, the Italian stallion. Dave, I love that you love the fun. We're here for that, and we'll keep on delivering. And of course, Jeff's wife just suggested we should have a tongue twister episode.
I'll just
No,
be quiet.
it's not
going
gonna
to
be good.
Okay. All right, Willis.
So the next one, Lyndon B. Johnson owned a Willys wagon.
That's better.
Or C, the National Museum of Pacific
I
War
don't know what we're
has
supposed to be
George
doing.
H.W.
I
Bush
wasn't paying
sitting
attention.
in a
Which
World War
one's-
II Jeep.
Which
Which one
one's-
is a lie?
Which one's the lie?
Okay, all right. So in 1930, President Herbert Hoover appointed John North
Willis.
to the ambassadorship of
I
Poland.
mean, it's probably technically right being Willis for his name.
It is.
I think that's
I
the
think that's
lie.
inappropriate. Lyndon B. Johnson owned a Willys wagon,
I could believe that.
and Museum of the Pacific War has a H.W. Bush sitting in a World War II Jeep. So I'm going C is definitely true. I feel like B. You feel like A?
I think A's the lie. Because I could
an
believe.
ambassadorship of Poland. You know what? So 1930. Okay, I'm gonna go with you because I don't like the date.
Yeah.
All right, A.
And
I don't know.
You-
Technical.
the lie
Oh,
is the National Museum of Pacific War does have a George H.W. Bush section that includes a World War II Jeep, but the president is not featured in it.
Jeffrey.
okay, folks. We're off to a banging
Great
start.
start here.
Banging start
Those
here.
technicalities.
Oh, that's how it's going to go, too.
That's
Yeah.
how. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
So, A, President
That's how
Bill,
it's gonna go too. He said. He was
so A, President Bill Clinton made a campaign trail stop to watch the 2 millionth Jeep Cherokee roll off the assembly line at Toledo's Chrysler Jeep plant. B, Barack Obama's first new car purchase was a 2000 Jeep Wrangler. C, some of President Ronald Reagan's iconic photos are in his Willys CJ6 that was a Christmas gift from his wife Nancy.
So the B one I think is a lie because he had a Grand Cherokee or something like that.
I agree with you. As much as I want to see good old Barack rocking a Wrangler.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he had a Cherokee.
You're correct. It was
Nah,
a Grand Cherokee.
Well played. Well played. On the Dub J.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Dub J owner.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, final round. A, the 1940 Ford Model GP, #1 pilot.
Why
was
did he
based-
write so much?
I am already regretting it.
I feel like I need to
All right,
adjust
let's-
my glasses.
Was based on
gracious. This is like Jeopardy all over again.
the rounds progressed just like Jeopardy too.
yes.
So it was based on American Bantam's design, and today is the oldest known Jeep. It's in mostly original condition and can be seen at the U.S. Veterans Memorial Museum in Huntsville, Alabama. B,
Get choked up over there.
Yeah, you're choked up.
there's a lot of words here. B,
Just moved.
President Joe Biden joked about driving on the Detroit 3 vehicles on the White House property for an event. Mark Stewart, the COO of Stellantis North America, spoke up and said, "Keys are in the Wrangler." This is how Biden came to drive the 4xe on the South Lawn in an unplanned media event. C, President Reagan was only ever seen driving his Jeep on his private ranch because current and former presidents and vice presidents are not allowed to operate motor vehicles on the open road. Lyndon Johnson was the last president to drive on public roads.
I think A is the lie. Because I don't think it
Based
was
on-
based on the Bantam design. They all had their own designs for their prototypes.
Ford, because it's 1940. And they
Yeah,
should
the
not have
GP
been.
is the prototype for Ford.
Correct.
And Bantam had their own. They actually had two different prototypes. And then Willys had their own prototypes.
Yeah, I believe there is something in Huntsville, Alabama, but I think
Well,
the lie
obviously
is in
has technicality.
I think
crap
there's a
over there.
lie in tech. I think the lie is in technicality, but I did enjoy seeing the 4xe
Getting drove around.
get driven around. I don't remember
And
exactly.
I didn't know that about C, but I believe it. I would believe that.
I totally believe it as well. I've never seen a president drive.
Yeah.
As a little kid, I was paranoid that I was going to get to a point in my life where I didn't drive.
Oh,
Do you
boy.
remember the 90s? Like, everybody just rode in limos and, like, TV shows and stuff? Or maybe that was just how I felt. Whatever. Jeffrey, we're going A?
A.
A, based on technicality.
Okay, well, you're wrong. There's actually no law that prevents presidents or vice presidents from driving on public roads. However, it is highly enforced by Secret Service, and all parties seem to adhere. But they are legally allowed to drive on
So
road.
it's a rule, but not a law.
That's not even a rule. It's just something the Secret Service would prefer you not
Scott,
to do.
I
think
take that as a rule.
You know, I think we're gonna have to do something about Jeffrey and his facts
We are.
because,
Listen, I even triple checked these because I didn't want you coming back at me.
folks, if you are still watching
sorry.
and haven't gone to sleep,
I'm sorry.
all three of you, we apologize. And we hope that you've enjoyed this segment.
The 4x story
and
was actually
Jeffrey's
really cool.
lies. Anything that Jeffrey produces for us as facts.
We cannot say his actual facts.
We don't actually know if
his
we
brain
believe
it
him
is.
at this point.
Yes.
This is not peer-reviewed, researched, and documented by some type
The
of
Jeep experts.
Just because you're wrong sometimes.
Oh. I can hear that semi again.
Oh.
Anywho.
All right, Jeffrey, that was very good. Even though we got smoked in the process.
Yes. I knew
thought
that
you
was
did
going to
pretty
happen.
good.
Wasn't it like 50-50?
We didn't do good at all. There was 3 rounds. We got 2 wrong.
We got a D.
If this was based on production quality of a business, we'd be out of business.
I still say A was wrong.
Also,
Anyway.
1940 bantams, they were competing against each other.
Correct.
You know.
I cried bullpucky.
All right, folks. If depending on wherever, however you're viewing, watching, if you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, smash the subscription button so that you get more updates, Tech Tuesdays, fun video reviews, whatever cool stuff that's going on down our media chain. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast station, think about, logging to the Outboard page and leaving us a review. Telling people how much fun you have when listening to Jeep and off-road and on-road and all that kind of good stuff. And obviously, you can always, join us live on Facebook, 10:19 a.m. on Mondays. We sincerely appreciate you guys joining in, being part of it, communicating with us, and it definitely helps motivate to continue to make more fun, semi-factual
They're factual.
Lies.
Jeep and auto enthusiast content for you. Until then, family, Jeep on.
Jeep on.